to the Finance and Warrant Commission Annual Reorganization Meeting, Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. We are having a remote meeting via Zoom webinar, and I'm going to call to the meeting to order at 5:30. Very glad to have you here. And we are going to grant Westwood Media Center permission to video. Is there anyone else who would like to video? Okay. We'd like to welcome all participants, including members, presenters, and members of the public and press. What we will be doing is, if members of press and public have questions, we're going to hold that to the end. And on with us is Melinda and Connor from Westwood Media Center, and they'll give you instructions when we get to that portion as to how we'll have you ask questions or make comments. So we're happy to have everybody with us. I'd like to ask everyone if they would please do the pledge and the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll start the meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America,
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. That's great. Chris had the flag. So as I said, I'm going to do a member roll call, and then Jim O'Sullivan did have another meeting, so he may pop in at some point to talk to us about new members, but we'll by then hopefully we'll have a new chair, and they can give him direction as to when it would be appropriate for him to speak. So I'm going to do a quick attendance roll call, and then we're going to open up for nominations for the chair. Peter Lentz.
Here.
Bill Bruce.
Here.
Jim Ferraro.
Here.
Lauren Fitzpatrick.
She's on mute.
Lauren, you're on mute. Here. Great, thank you. George, are you in yet? Angela Hughes.
Here.
Thank you. Peter Ittig.
Here.
Caitlin. She's not here yet. Tom Kilgariff.
Here.
Diane McCarthy.
Here.
And Chris Pareda.
Here.
Thank you. Good. What I'd like to do now, this is our, it is our obligation because of the FinCom charter to after the end of a town meeting annually, we reorganize and we elect a chair. So I'd like to open up nominations, please, and we will do a verbal roll call for the votes on this app because we're remote, obviously. So I just wanted to let you know that. So can I take nominations, please? Anyone have nominations? Or please feel free to nominate yourself.
I nominate Peter Lentz.
And who is that?
Jim.
Jim, thank you. Can I have a second on that, please?
Second.
Second.
I think I got Diane for second. And Peter, would you accept that nomination?
Yes, I would. Yeah.
Great. Can I have other nominations? Does everyone feel ready to vote, given that I'm not seeing any other nominations?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, I'm just gonna, George is having trouble. I'm just gonna tell him to call in. So I'm sorry. Just 1 second. Okay, I want to get George in here. Okay, so everybody's ready to vote? Okay, we're gonna vote now to elect Peter Lentz to be the chair for the 2020-21 season. And Peter, you're first.
Okay, I'll vote for myself.
Good. Thank you. Bill?
Yep, I vote yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
George? Not yet. Angela?
Yes.
Peter Ittig?
Yes.
Caitlin, are you here? Tom Kilgariff?
Oh, yes, yes.
Diane McCarthy?
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
And by unanimous vote of those present, we welcome our new chair, who we are very lucky to have. Peter has served as he was the guru for OPEB. He was also the chair for municipal. He served us very well this year as our vice chair. And so we're very grateful to have Peter as our new chair. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to him.
Okay.
Thanks, Peter.
So first of all, thanks to everyone that was here. I think we had a lot of discussions last year, for those of you there, that we were thinking that different than the past, where the Finance Commission had chairs that were going year to year, succeeding from year to year, that we might want to do it a little different, like some of the other boards, or most of the other boards do, where you're a chair effectively for a year. And what we talked about last year was having a vice chair that would be in line. It's not 100% commitment, that would certainly be in line for chair the next year. So glad to accept that. Certainly one of the things we will have to do is, and we don't have to do it tonight, but I certainly would like a discussion about it, is a vice chair for next year to serve. So Tom Kilgariff has been vice chair previously. I spoke to Tom, and maybe I won't paraphrase it exactly right, Tom, so I'll have you jump in after I say it. I think Tom would be interested, but is not ready to commit to be the chair in the succeeding year. So Tom, did I kind of say that correctly?
Yeah, that's fair, Peter. That's accurate, Peter. It's certainly, I think, for lack of a better phrase, if nobody else is willing to take it, then I would, but I wouldn't be able to commit to taking the chair role the following year. So hopefully, somebody that would be willing to take on that succession would be willing to take this year's vice chair on.
So it would be my preference then to have a vice chair that really would like to take over the succeeding year. Well, let me wait for George to. So I would like a vice chair that would be willing, and it's not 100% commitment because things change in life, but someone that was thinking about taking it over as a chair for the year after me. So with that, usually it's worthwhile for someone to have some experience. Clearly, a first-year person would not be a good person to be a vice chair. It would be better if someone had some experience as a lead for one of the subcommittees, like municipal or school or planning board or that type of thing. So with that said, I don't know if there's anybody here that would be willing now to say, hey, I would like to be, I'd be interested in the vice chair position.
Let me just jump in. Peter, yes, we did have discussions regarding one-year terms and vice chairs stepping up, but I don't think we settled on that being as definite. Right?
It's
So
not,
there's
it's not in a charter, I agree, yeah.
no prohibition to Tom being your vice chair and you two being a slate in consecutive years. Unless you're planning on a one and done.
That's true. My term is expiring, let me just say that, at the end of this upcoming year. So that's not something that I would say I'd be ready to commit to be the chair in succeeding years. And I'm not really sure that I will be part of the Finance Commission going forward, just because my term will expire. It's something that I've got to think about a little bit more. But I think last year, though I agree with you, it's not like we have changed our charter or anything like that, but we felt like some people would be hesitant to be the chair because they thought that, boy, each year I'd be obligated to keep doing it again and again, like Mary Ann did and like other folks have done. So really wanted people to feel like they're not committing themselves to 5 years down the road type of thing. But
you can always decline if you were nominated for successive terms. But But that being said, unless anybody here wants to nominate, my recommendation would be we wait till we get more members on the board who aren't present tonight, may be interested.
That's,
So Peter, I would be willing to do it if and commit to doing it next year too. I don't have the experience probably that you would be looking for, but I'm certainly willing to do it.
okay. So really, right now, I wasn't expecting that we would make final decisions, but really love the input, and thanks, Chris. Anybody else? Comments? You don't have to necessarily say you're interested, but any more comments?
I think you should put some thought into who you think you would like to work with.
Yep. And so I'm going to do that also for the other positions like municipal, school, OPEB. We're going to need, so I've kind of stepped in related to OPEB, but just because for the succeeding year, I'm not really sure if I'll be there. We really need to have someone that understands OPEB. And so I'll want someone there. Also planning. So what I'd like folks to do is to email Jane with any interest that you would have, either a particular, subcommittee, if you want to stay with the subcommittee that you're in, or if you'd like to get different experience, that's good input either way. And if you would like to step up to be the chair of a subcommittee, I'd appreciate that too. So probably be worthwhile that folks get back to Jane in about a week. I think that gives you enough time to mull it over. Are people amenable to that?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be good. Certainly, when we went to the town meeting, I think everyone can see that next year is going to be a real challenge. We're going to have a fall town meeting, pretty certain of that, a regular annual town meeting. There's even a possibility, and Jane could fill us in, that we might have a special town meeting regarding the budget. So with that said, there's going to be a significant amount of work, a lot more work actually than we did last year. So Jane, I don't know if you have
Yes.
anything else to add on that.
Let me just fill you on what I know so far today. Pam Dukeman and Chris Coleman are working closely with to figure out what exactly the COVID, when all that information will be due. So depending on how that all falls out, the money that has been spent because of the virus, Pam and I had a conversation with her last week, and then Chris talked about it last night at the select board meeting, I think it was last night, or Monday night, and said that they are working on it. They're not prepared yet to be able to make a decision on that. Their preference would be to have just have the fall town meeting and not have to have anything earlier. They'd only have to have the special town meeting if they need to get the funds managed in September because of the virus, and that's going to depend on what the state and the feds regulate. So the select board decided that they would meet, they'd have a July meeting, middle of July, and I believe an August meeting, same thing. And Chris said he'd try to report back then as to where they were at with if we would need a special town meeting. What Pam told me was she thought it would probably, if there was one, it would probably have to be in September, but they would like to be able to have and the select board said it would be November 9th, the fall town meeting. If we do go that route, they'd obviously prefer to do the whole thing at once, but we won't know yet, and they're still working on it. So that's kind of where we stand. As soon as I know anything, obviously I would let you all know.
So can I just ask a question? What happens to all of those articles that didn't get voted at town meeting?
So the sponsors of those articles, Diane, would have to come back to us as if they were new articles.
Ah,
Yes.
It's too
Okay.
bad. I mean, we did a lot of great work. I mean, if they come back exactly the same wording, we certainly could look at, what our deliberations were, but we'll have a different group. So we're going to have to deliberate and see what we feel and see what's changed between then and now. Clearly, when we know more about from Pam about funding situations, that could really influence our decisions and our votes and things that we felt differently about before this all came about.
And do we have any vacancies on the commission right now? And what are we expecting about filling those vacancies by the moderator?
Yeah, so the moderator, I've been, we're very grateful, Angela and Chris both were reappointed this week. So that puts us at 12. We had Howard and Barb and Cindy step down. So we need 3 appointees. There is interest. I've been talking back and forth with the moderator. He had, I think, 3 people interested. And then another person was recommended to me by somebody on the board, and I put that information forward. So he has that. So he was working on getting that done. And, obviously we would have loved to have everybody here tonight. That is our preference, that we have our new members here for the reorg meeting. We will do a new member orientation prior to our first meeting, but we need 3 people. And I think we're going to have 3 people. So I think you've had conversations now.
A question, do we have any new members now? And if so, can you tell us what the names are?
No.
No.
The moderator has not appointed anybody new yet. He has names and people who are interested. So that's really good.
Yeah, and we'll reach out to Jim because I think kind of time is of the essence. Jane, you're working on a schedule, right, for what the fall's going to be like?
Yes, we are working on it. I talked to Tish Haley last week. She has our FinCom schedule that from, I think it was 2018 and 19 when we had the last time we had a fall town meeting. So it would look similar to that. And so she's, sort of plugging the select board meetings in around that schedule, but I'm not going to send you out anything until we know if we need to have a special town meeting, because we'll need to resume earlier than we normally do if that's the case. And 2, we don't have word yet. I'm assuming we're going to be remote, but we haven't had word on that yet. So we're kind of at the wait and see at this point still. But it's, once we know more, I think then I think probably sometime at the beginning of July, I'll start plugging in some of those dates and see if Trish will hold some rooms, and, and then obviously we can do the Zoom if we need to stay remote, but if we'd like to do that.
Peter, can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Given the fact that the budget is going to be a critical issue, you may want to consider setting up a separate subcommittee just to deal with the budget. In other words, the municipal is a large pie, but I'm thinking that we may be very dependent upon what the state does and the impact on the revenue or cash inflow. So you may want to set up a working group that just can focus on that. And you also may want to have a liaison to the school committee, because I know that in watching a couple of their meetings, they're very concerned too about their budget. So it would seem to me that may be the biggest piece of our action on this fall meeting. The other thing I would say, I think on the articles, that some of those articles, like in the planning board, they may have to go through their process again.
They do.
I don't think they can automatically renew it. So everybody sort of has to go through their process.
All sponsors have to come back as a fresh start. Yes.
Yes, but I would suggest that you may want to think about, as chair, maybe setting up a small working group that would frankly start to work earlier rather than later, and work directly with however Pam and the select board and the town manager want to handle it, because it seems to me we may have to make some fairly interesting decisions early on.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with what you said, and I'll definitely take it into account. I was just thinking when I spoke before to reiterate how difficult a year it's going to be. Certainly, in the prior times that I've been on, we haven't really worried too much about money right away when we kicked off the year, and here we are with a big concern. And I think it was really telling. A lot of folks that stood up at town meeting and relayed their concern about the existing budget. So I think we're going to have to get into actuals and projections a lot earlier than we did before.
Yeah, and let me ask this question maybe to Jane. Jane, I know that I see two sides of the issue. One is what I'll call cash inflow. I mean, revenue may be there, but cash collections may not. So you have the excise, hotel, meals, and sales, and I don't know what the impact is going to be on people's ability to pay or not pay real estate taxes. Ultimately, they owe it, but the issue is, will the cash come in? And then the second thing is the town having to incur expenses it wasn't planning on? So there may be expenditures to deal with COVID-19 that we had anticipated. I'm just curious about that.
Yes, no, that's a great question. Yes, there are expenses. Obviously, there's materials and there's, I think, there's all kinds of different fire and police, all of that kind of thing. The schools are obviously have expenses. Even the DPW with, you know, the spraying that's been done to disinfect the buildings, all of that. So early on, Pam, of course, is on top of it, and she has had people they've started accounts that are keeping track of it. And
Okay.
there's also money available from, it's called the CARES, from the federal government. And
Right,
so,
the CARES Act. Right.
Yes.
yes,
Exactly.
everybody's
Yep.
looking at what we're going to get from that. That's why all of those numbers, they're on top of that, collecting all that information, and all the department heads were really on top of it as well. And then now they're waiting to see when all of that is going to be due. So
Okay.
that's why
And
they-
have the schools,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Jane, have the schools made their decision in terms of how they're going to handle the fall, or is that still in
They
process?
have not yet, no, they're still waiting for the state, because all the schools have to do the same thing, obviously, for many, many
Oh,
reasons. So
Okay,
they're still waiting for the state to issue the requirements for the fall.
okay,
I have a question about the schools.
thank you.
A question about the schools. I'm curious about whether anyone knows whether the schools will be submitting a proposal for an override this year, or will that be postponed to next year?
You mean for the building?
Yes.
Yeah, so the
Sure.
building committee process continues, along the schedule that it's been going. The meetings are happening. I attend some of them. They have narrowed down the recommendations, and they're moving forward. I can't tell you whether I think they're gonna postpone it. It's such a hard year. I don't know. But they are moving ahead on schedule with all their meetings.
One of the options of that is a do nothing option, which is particularly misnamed because a do nothing option means just you're not going to build a new school. It doesn't mean that you're not going to incur more expenses. So there are numbers to be attached to that option where you don't build a new school, but you still have to maintain the ones that you have. And that's really going to be the question as to whether or not the schools can balance what we would have to spend anyway with what we would spend if we built a new school, and then try to make that argument.
Or if they just postpone ask for the money to build the new school, still planning on doing so, but just not, starting the process as early as they had thought. But even that, as you point out, Chris, brings with it a lot of expenses. And there are a lot of additional expenses related to COVID that they're absorbing right now.
And
Yeah,
Denny,
I asked Maya after the town meeting whether she had heard from the state on the state funding program, and she related that the state had told her that the money available for what would be paid out in fiscal year 21 has already been set aside, kind of like our meals and hotel tax. So they were pushing forward, and the state so far hadn't indicated any, that they were going to postpone any of the projects that were already in the pipeline. Future projects obviously are going to be adversely impacted because not as much money is going to be available from the state side. But the present projects that are already being considered, she thought were continuing to press forward.
Chris, and when you're saying state, I think you're referring to the MSBA.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
because the other state money is in jeopardy.
That's exactly right. We just.
They're
Right.
very much in jeopardy. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, those are all really good points. I think another thing is we don't really know right now what the makeup of the school should be in what the new normal is. So that's something that I'm sure they're considering. But just to me, going forward, saying a school is going to be the same as what we planned it before COVID would not be prudent. So there's going to be a lot of questions that we're going to have to ask associated with this, and have to look at things a lot, as I said before, a lot of things much earlier than we've done in the past. Those are all good comments. Any more comments? One thing I was just going to add, I'd be remiss if we didn't thank outgoing folks, Barb, Howard, and Cindy. They've been fantastic and have been on the Finance and Warrant Commission for a long time. So although I know we're going to get, though I don't know who they are, we're going to get really qualified people coming in. The kind of experience void that we're going to miss from them is going to be pretty significant. So I think it's really incumbent upon all of us to really have to try to step up in the upcoming year, to take a little bit more responsibility to try to fill that void. Because as you remember, as a new person, your first year, it's really difficult understanding everything, just getting through that first year. So it's really left to the folks that have been here for a little while to really help out and fill that up.
Peter, thank you for taking on the chair role next year. Congratulations on a great year as vice chair, and go get them.
Yeah, looking at all the challenges, I wish I had gone harder for the previous year. The previous year is going to be thought upon as easy compared to this year coming up. But I'm definitely up. I'm definitely up for it, and I have more free time. With my consulting roles are lower now than they've been in the past, so it gives me time to maybe attend, or at least remotely attend, select board meetings and other board meetings, to try to get a sense of the select board and try to make sure that we have kind of a seamless process between particularly the select board and the other boards too.
Jane, could you do me a couple of favors? One, could you send a list of the current subcommittees and their members out? That would be really helpful to me. I know I have it, but I'd have to search for it. And two, you know, I don't know, it's just me, I'm sure. I can never find when the select board meets. And I'm sure it's just me, and I'm sure it's really easy to find it. But if there's a calendar for the select board, could you send us that as well?
I sure can, but this is the easiest way to do this. When you go in, just click onto the town website.
Yep.
If you scroll down, there's the calendar right there, and it has every single meeting that we have.
Huh.
And if you click on it, it'll bring you into the public meeting notice, which has the agenda on it.
Okay.
And so, and it even, because just like what I did for our meeting tonight, we always add the Zoom link too, right on the public meeting notice. So you can click, I mean, I know there was a glitch tonight, but you can click right on that to go to their meeting if you want to. I'd be happy to send you a list of the select board meetings, but that calendar below, anything you want to know about what's happening, It's really easy to use. It's one of the easiest things on the website to use, and it's all right there. And you can even go ahead, like it'll show you what's happening in the next few days that you can click right on, but it'll send you out to all the meetings going, month to month. But I'd be happy to send you a select board calendar too.
Thanks.
Diane, I want to ask you a question. Is that just a beautiful background shot, or are you sitting on that beach?
Oh, I wish I was sitting on that beach, man. I am not.
George.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous looking at you. I'm saying to myself, is she really? No, she's got to be
told me.
maybe on Dover Road. Okay.
Damn, I'm on Dover Road.
All right. Okay. Just checking. It looks great.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Is that a beach you go to, or?
No. It's just one of the it's one of the backgrounds that I chose this one a couple minutes ago. There you go. There's another one for you. It's just one of the backgrounds that Zoom has available.
That is cool, man. I got to make myself look busy, like create an office department around me.
Often I'm in my backyard, though. I do have to confess. And so if I put one of these backgrounds up, nobody knows.
Okay. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Could I also ask members if anybody has any change of contact information? Just send that to me, phone numbers or anything that's changed, addresses, because I'll put that list together for you all once we have our new members. And if anybody else has any recommendations that they'd like to put forward for FinCom members, you can send that on to me too. And I'll make sure that Jim has that as he's making considerations. It's not too late. So if you have somebody in mind, please let me know. We've already had a couple of suggestions from members, so that's really wonderful.
So Jane, when you send that email out, when you're going to be providing some things that Diane asked for, could you also include in that just a reminder of what folks would like, what subcommittees folks would like to be
I will do that.
in? Yeah.
Yes, what they're interested in for their assignments for next year.
Right. And I can't guarantee that. We'll have to just kind of fit it in.
Yeah.
As what's the best fit for everything. But certainly it's better to know what folks wants and desires are before, as opposed to me just kind of coming up with it on my own.
You bet.
Peter, I was a little late getting on the call, so I just want to also add my congratulations and thank you for taking on the chair.
Yeah, thanks a lot, George.
I would like to make a comment since Melinda is on from the Media Center. There is a web page for the commission with a picture that shows the members, at least as of last year, and that picture is upside down. It makes us look quite strange.
That isn't Melinda's. I already sent that, Peter. I think it's every time they update it, it flips back upside down again. Peter Lentz and I talked about that the other day. That would be our IT department. And I did send them an email. I think, Peter, were we talking on Monday maybe?
Yeah, I brought it up when we spoke on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that Westwood Media Center wouldn't have anything to do with that, but I have sent an email on that. And it's really strange that it keeps happening because they fixed it before and now it's flipped back again. So
it's a good point, Peter. I'd like us to put our best foot forward. We don't come in a good light when we're upside down.
I know, it's terrible.
They'll fix it just in time for the new board.
I was just going to say that we'll flip it back and then we'll get the new board picture. We might have, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I might have to come to your houses, stand on the front porch and bring it all together. I don't know.
You're right. All of us in our masks.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send you a picture, Jane, of us in the best possible light.
That's a great one. Yeah, from your like high school graduation or something. And then we'll play like guess who the members.
And then and the IT department can stitch them all together.
Yes, that's great.
Right. Or just take a picture, a screenshot of the Zoom the coming year.
That's a great idea, actually.
So Jane, the other thing is it's probably never a bad time to bring up the open meeting rules, and that we can't be sending emails to one another, that everything should go through you, and we really want to adhere to that. And I know you're the expert on that. You're going to be helping me along with that, but I just wanted to mention that also.
Deliberate. No deliberating on email.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing of all. Yes, I'll send that out too. I'll send an open meeting law, just a reminder. I have the document that I'll send.
I wonder if you would elaborate on that. Why is it not a good thing for members to just exchange views on issues by email? Why is that bad?
Because members of the members of, we're an open body, and members of the public don't have an opportunity to be a part of that and to give feedback on that. So everything we do should be done in an open forum. So if you're deliberating on email, then that breaks the public meeting law. I'll send the document out, Peter, and you can have another look at it. But it's always good. There's a lot of other things that are part of that, but just people sometimes get used to hitting, respond to all, reply to all, and that's what can get us into trouble. So we want to be out in the open when we're making decisions.
Okay, anything else that folks have?
If there's nothing else, I'm just going to ask Melinda if we have any members of public and press on with us.
We do not.
Okay. So Peter, I need to do a roll call to adjourn. So just wanted to let you know that before everybody goes away.
All right.
Are you ready to make a motion? And then we can get a second and I'll do the roll call.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. And I'll be in touch with you as soon as I know more information about what's happening with special town meetings. So stay tuned. Peter Lentz.
Here.
Bill Bruce.
Here.
Jim Ferraro.
Yes.
Lauren.
Here.
Thank you, Lauren. George.
Yes.
Angela.
Here.
Peter. Idig.
Yes.
Caitlin.
Here.
Thank you, Caitlin. Tom.
Yes.
Diane.
Yes.
And Chris.
Yes.
We have a unanimous motion to adjourn. Thank you, guys. It's so appreciated so much, everybody making time to do this tonight. I'm always so worried we won't have enough people to have a new chair. So you guys are the best. Very much appreciated.
Enjoy your summer.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jane.